Hi everyone, and welcome to another day of the Get Moving, Get Rewarded challenge. Right now I just finished hiking up to, what's it called? Torrey Pines hike. Everybody in San Diego told me I had to come here, so I made the hike up, and if you can see behind me, it was so well worth it. So we're gonna do an ab workout up here. So follow along to be entered into today's prize. We're gonna start off with stomach vacuums. The key to this is really sucking all of the air out of your core and drawing your belly button in towards your spine as hard as you can. Go back to this movement at any point throughout the circuit. If the exercise becomes too difficult or you need to take a little bit of a break, just jump right back into stomach vacuums and resume when you're ready. Next, we're going to do crunches. The key here is to be drawing your belly button into your spine and really curling and pulling yourself up with your core. You can see my fingers at the sides of my head, but my hands are not pulling my head up. It is my core that is doing this motion. It really helps to put your tongue at the roof of your mouth. If this is too difficult, then just put your arms straight out in front of you and use your arms a little bit for momentum to get you up into that core movement. But really ensure that your belly button is drawn in towards your spine. Next is single leg kickdowns. The key with this movement is to really ensure there's no space in your lower back. So you want your lower back pressed firmly against the floor. If you do feel this movement in your lower back, make sure you stop and reset and then keep going. This movement is very, very difficult if done properly. You really want to ensure that your belly button is drawn in towards your spine and you're holding a real tight tension in your core. You can see that my head is drawn up with my elbows. That really helps me press my lower back against the floor. But if it's easier for you, you can lay back as well and just find which movement and which form is best for you so that you are really, really feeling this in your core. If you can do this, this is a more advanced version and it is double leg kickdowns. If this is too difficult, then just keep with the single leg kickdowns. But if you are going to do the double leg, really, really make sure that this is felt in your core again and not in your lower back. So drawing that navel in and just really, really squeezing and breathing as well throughout this exercise. Next are side plank twists. So I'm just tapping down with my top hand in front of me to really work that lower side ab muscle called your oblique. So you can see I'm keeping my hips raised. I'm not letting that lower left hip drop down. I'm keeping it nice and lifted so that I'm really feeling a burn in that lower side of my abs. And this is a more assisted version, so if the full version is a little bit too challenging, then you're welcome to drop down to your knees. I actually like doing both versions. I find the assisted can bring a much more isolated burn, so play around with both, and whichever one you're feeling that really strong burn in your side, that's which one you want to be doing. And now I'm just repeating the same movement on the other side. So whatever you do on the one side, if you're up on your feet or if you're down on your knees, just making sure that you're matching that on the other side. And you can see here, I'm really making sure that my hips are staying lifted. And then I'm dropping down to my knees for an assisted version. Next is slow motion mountain climbers. So you want to do this movement nice and slow and controlled, drawing that belly button into your spine and really getting a squeeze on your side ab muscle. And then in a controlled way, bringing that foot back, but not touching it down. If you need to touch it down, that's fine as well, but try not to. And then doing the same thing on the other side. And again, you really want to squeeze that knee up so that you're feeling a burn in your side abdominal muscle. Another thing to make sure of is that your shoulders are back and down away from your ears. You don't want to hold tension in your neck or upper back. This is a more assisted version, so you're still going to be getting the same workout. It's just going to be a little bit easier. And again, I like to do both versions. I find the assisted actually helps a lot with isolation, so you're welcome to try both of them, but they're both great options. And now we're just repeating that on the other side. And again, really focusing on drawing your belly button in and keeping level hips as well. So you don't want to have, in this case, your right hip much higher. You want to stay as square as possible. Next are called butterfly crunches. And I just have my feet together and my hips outwards. This just stops your hip flexors from tightening when you do a crunch. So by going in a butterfly motion, you're taking your hip flexors out of the equation and solely working on your core. Next, we have dead bugs. So opposite leg, opposite arm, just dropping back. And again, the real key to this movement is having your lower back pressed into the ground and your belly button brought in. This should be felt very deep in your core and not in your lower back. So if you need to take a break and reset, then I strongly encourage that over doing it improperly. And again, if you need to go into stomach vacuums at any time throughout the circuit, just take that time. Next, we have hijacks. This is a much more advanced movement, so if you'd like to do stomach vacuums at this point, that's okay as well. You're really, again, making sure that your belly button's drawn in and your lower back is pressed firmly into the floor. This is a core movement, so really make sure it's your core that you're feeling it and not your hip flexors. Next, we have cross crunches. So you're trying to bring the opposite elbow to the opposite knee and really getting a squeeze at the top there. Again, like all the other exercises today, really focus on drawing that belly button in and squeeze at the top. Next, we have oblique plank twists. So this is the more advanced version. You're just swiveling with your hips and you're really wanting to make sure your belly button's drawn in again and that you're feeling this on the sides of your core. Another great option and alternative to the full plank twist is just assisted, so you're down on your knees and it's just taking some of the pressure off of your lower back and it's going to help with a little bit less weight. So I encourage you to start with this one and see how it feels and then move on to the full oblique twists. Lastly, we have a timed plank. So you can do this on your knees or on your feet. The closer your feet are together, the more challenging it's going to be. And really focus on drawing that belly button in, squeezing your glutes, and keeping your shoulders back and down. For this type of exercise, I really like to time myself and see if I can beat my time every week. And then gives me something to work towards and get better at each time I try this exercise.